Hello everybody, welcome to Awesome Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already and drop a like on this video. I'm trying to hit 100k subscribers and we're a couple, like 3 away from that now at this point, so your subscription would be much appreciated. 3,000, not 3 subscribers. Also drop a like, only takes 1 second and makes a massive difference in how the video performs in the YouTube algorithm. So let's talk about this insane game that Damian Lillard just had. 71 points versus, I almost said 72 for some reason. 71 points versus the Houston Rockets. Hit 13 three-pointers, which ties with multiple players for the second most threes ever made in a game. Stephen Curry's done it a couple of times. Zach LaVine did it once against Charlotte. Kobe Bryant did it. And I think some random player from the Raptors whose name escapes me and I haven't bothered to look up also did it one time. That's, I think, something that's gone almost undermentioned because there's been so much focus on the 70 part of it, but the dude hit 13 threes, which is ridiculous. Anyways, obviously Clay has the record at #1 with 14. I would know that well. So I want to talk about Damian Lillard's individual performance. Over on my main channel, I recorded a video talking about the prospect of what if somebody can score 100 in the NBA. What would that look like? Is it even theoretically possible? So that video is over on my main channel, probably an hour or 2, maybe 3 after this one goes up, so look forward to that. But I wanted to use this video to focus very specifically on this game. I went to bed when this game was on. I didn't know that Damian Lillard was going off, and I woke up this morning and looked at my phone and saw that Dame did indeed have 70 points. That's huge, obviously, but honestly, what's funny about it, I woke up and then went back to sleep for another hour, and when I woke up and read it, I was just like, oh, yeah, okay. And then I went back to sleep because the NBA has gotten to such a point, scoring has gotten to such a point this year where I saw a 70 piece and I was like, yeah, that happens. Technically, it's only happened one other time this season, but we're not even fully done with this regular season, and we've had 2 70-point games. I would say that's probably almost certainly happened before with Wilt Chamberlain doing it twice, but has 2 different players ever scored 70 in the same season? I don't think that's ever happened. I know that David Robinson did it. I don't know if it's Alex English or David Thompson who had a 70 piece. I think it was David. As far as I remember, they're both Nuggets players, so that's why it was one of those 2. And then, of course, Wilt Chamberlain did it a couple of times and had a 100 piece, obviously. So let's talk about this game individually. And I guess I'll first just talk about the Rockets just to get that out of the way because we want to get to the Dame stuff. I will say in the case of the Rockets that I don't even think they actually played that poor of defense on Dame. There were a couple of times where Şengün specifically did not step up to the degree that he needed to off of the screen, but like at the end of the day, Dame was hitting 35-footers. Like, I think in the first half, he had 4 shots from 30 feet or further. And of those 4, if I had to guess, I would say 3 of them were from like 35 feet. One of them was a damn near half-court shot, and he hit 8 threes in the first half. And I can't really blame the Rockets for that. The big area where they fell apart was how easy it was for him to get in the paint. Like, there's no excuse for giving up a Statue of Liberty type dunk in the half-court set to Damian Lillard with the defense queued up on him entirely. Like, they weren't even bothering to really defend anybody else after a certain point, and they still could not prevent him from getting into the lane rather easily. So I'll give them that knock. That was not great. To speak to what they were doing offensively, I found it interesting because Kevin Porter and Jalen Green did not play in this game, and after that leaves it to Şengün and pretty much a bunch of players who are like borderline NBA guys. Sorry if you heard that text notification. Borderline NBA guys who, like, some of them will probably be in the league in 3 years and some of them won't. So the Rockets roster is not that great without those 2 guys. But I watched a video recently about the, like, AAU basketball influence in the NBA and how those 2 are kind of a more prominent example. And what I found interesting was Houston's offense looked rather, how do I put this? Like teamwork when Şengün was on the floor, because he worked as an offensive hub, kind of just they operated based on his gravity in the post and what he's able to do as a playmaker, as a screen setter and all that. And a couple of guys got good opportunities. There were a couple of really nice plays for KJ Martin, really nice dunks. But as soon as he would sit, it would get pretty rough for the offense, and that's when the Blazers started to pull away. Ironically, it came down to the Rockets just not being able to score more than the fact that the Blazers were clearly able to score in this game. They finished with 130 because I don't know if you know, but one of their players had 70 points. So I got to give credit to Houston in a little bit of regard, and almost a knock to Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. in a little bit, where as soon as you removed that ISO ball from the equation, while it was not exactly a good product either, I at the very least saw something that resembled an NBA offense that was executed like an NBA offense with what the Houston Rockets were doing when Şengün was on the floor. So there's that. But now let's talk about Dame and the Blazers. I mean, ironically, this is probably the thing that I have the least to say about, because, like, what am I supposed to say other than he had freaking 70? Like, he was dropping three-pointer after three-pointer from so deep. Almost all of them off of the dribble. I can't even think. There's maybe like 2 of those threes were catch and shoots. And I was thinking about this the other day. Is Dame not, like, unequivocally the second best pull-up three-point shooter that the game's ever seen? Like, I think the only guy that would compete with him is James Harden. Obviously, Steph is first. So I don't know. A whole other conversation. Yeah, like I said, he was getting into the paint about as easily as you could hope. He started off the first quarter scorching. Like, I think he was shooting over 90% after the first quarter. Second half, still shooting quite well. Third quarter, his scoring cooled down a little bit. I think he finished the third with like 52. And then in the fourth quarter, he really kind of dogged his efficiency because he started to get tired and started to miss shots. After he did get the 70 piece, it was clear that he wanted that 14th three-pointer to tie Klay Thompson, and that did not happen because he was just launching them things, and at a certain point they just stopped going in. It's almost like he cooled down for the last 5-ish minutes of the game, but he still wanted to get that 70 piece, so he still kept shooting. So if I had to guess, I'd say he went like 2 for 8 in the last 5 minutes of the game. After that, if you just remove that from the equation, I think this is easily the most efficient 70-point game that I have seen for sure. Maybe the fact that there's not as many free throws here. He only scored 14 points at the line, only. But for a 70 piece, that's not a lot. So, there is that. But just from a pure making shot standpoint, I'm also curious if we went back into the math. Is this not the most points scored without free throws? Like, not ever, but up there. Like, it's definitely more than Booker and more than Donovan Mitchell, because they both had 20 plus free throws for their 70 pieces, and Dame had 6 less than 20. So, yeah, it might actually be the most actual points, not just fouls going to the free throw line, actual buckets, actual field goals, points scored off of just field goals that I can think of. But yeah, Dame was ridiculous. There's been a lot of talk. Ironically, I saw someone in my group chat of a bunch of NBA YouTubers talking about, is this Damian Lillard's best season? I think 3Cone said that. Shout out to him. Yeah, I think this is the best season of Damian's career. And to end on a sad note, well, this is obviously a good game from the Blazers. It just kind of is, obviously 70 is more than the 60 that he's done like 4 other times. But it's disheartening to just see that this crazy talented player is on this team that's just not built to be on that level. It's just not. I think it's a better roster than they've had in years, but still ain't enough. And God, I just hope that while Dame still has a couple of years left in his prime, he manages to go to a team that's actually going to use it for championship aspirations instead of hoping to get the 8th seed every year. But I don't mean to end on too much of a downer note, but, it is what it is. Amazing performance from Damian Lillard. Scoring in the NBA is ridiculous. The NBA is probably going to address that this offseason and maybe try to cool it down a little bit. But while it is the way that it is, I'm just going to appreciate it as it is. But yeah, that was it. Goodbye.